Nicolas Cage as Dracula in Renfield. What could possibly go wrong? Let's find out. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Welcome to this here movie review for Nicholas Hoult and Nicolas Cage's new action, comedy, horror-esque type of a film, Renfield. You've seen the trailers. Nicolas Cage, cast as Dracula. Fantastic. So this film has just come out nearly a week ago. It runs for 93 minutes. It's got a budget of $65 million. Film stars Nicholas Hoult as the title character Renfield, Nicolas Cage hamming it up as Count Dracula, Awkwafina as a police officer by the name of Rebecca. The film is directed by Chris McKay with a screenplay from Ryan Ridley. And interestingly, and I didn't know this, the film comes from an original idea by Robert Kirkman. Robert Kirkman being the creator of The Walking Dead. Now, I say original idea. I'll come back to that in a bit. So this film here, we're introduced to the character of Renfield, who is a familiar for Dracula. If you're unaware of what that is, a familiar is basically the slave of a vampire, someone who's sort of given themselves to the vampire to get him food, clean up all his mess, all this sort of a thing. Basically, do his day-to-day bidding. But as a human, he doesn't get the vampire. But in this, Nicholas Hoult's character, Renfield, does get powers by eating bugs that gives him these sort of this strength, a taste of the strength that Dracula has. He's been doing this for millennia. We get a flashback scene in black and white that looks fantastic, very much like the old sort of Dracula films we get. And we sort of see his origins and how he came about. And this film here, we come to present day in New Orleans, and he's there with Dracula. Dracula's in a bad state. He's bringing him back to health by bringing him fresh meat. But they get sort of wrapped up in this police investigation into this corrupt family, a crime family called the Lobos. Drug dealing, all this sort of a thing. Nicholas Hoult's character is essentially on a journey of trying to get out of the relationship with Dracula and have a normal life. He's fed up of being used, all this sort of nonsense, and crap goes down. Dracula goes and joins forces with the family, the Lobos family, uses some of the sons as his new familiars. Nicholas Hoult and the police girl start to get into a relationship. They need to stop this from happening, blah, 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 and so on it goes. The film is essentially about Nicholas Hoult, his character attempting to break free of Dracula's grasp. Yes. Nicolas Cage isn't the main star of this film. The main star is Nicholas Hoult. Nicolas Cage himself is sort of playing second fiddle to that character. So I'd seen a trailer for this film. It didn't do much for me. It didn't do much for me. So I went into it with very low expectation. Trepidation, if you will. And rightly so. I found the pacing of this film to be off. At 93 minutes, it's not a very long film whatsoever. And it bored me. It bored me. Nicolas Cage, I can't fault. Nicolas Cage was fantastic in the role. The journey that Nicholas Hoult goes on is accompanied by a transition in the look of Nicholas Hoult. In at the beginning, he starts to film very pale-faced. And then they slowly introduce colour to him to express his journey out of the sort of darkness and into the light, which many a film do with characters on journeys. It's nothing new. Okay, the major problem I have with this, Robert Kirkman and had his original idea. There's nothing original in this film whatsoever. Not if you watch the TV show What We Do in the Shadows, which is over my left shoulder. Now, What We Do in the Shadows is a TV series based upon a film of the same name by Taika Waititi from some time ago. The series has run for 4 years. Its 5th season is upcoming and it is extremely good. And this show here is about a group of vampires. The main vampire has a familiar that lives with him. The familiar is actually a descendant of Van Helsing, so he has fighting skills and abilities too. Even the look of this film, in its colour palette, in its neon-esque feel of lighting, comes from this show. The posters for Renfield, or the main poster for Renfield, is not too dissimilar from that of the posters for this series, using the same colour palette almost. This is my main problem with this show, is that I'm a great lover of the TV series, and the minute I saw the trailer for this film, it reeked of similarity. It reeked of not being an original production. It reeked of someone who watches this, who enjoys this, and thought they could make their own similar-esque kind of film out of it. And that is exactly what has happened here. Only it's lost all the charm, all the fun, all the nuance that this programme actually has. Now, if you've not seen What We Do in the Shadows, you may get something out of Renfield. I saw people get excitement over the trailers. I don't understand why. It wasn't a good trailer. Nicolas Cage cast as Dracula. Yes, fantastic. I love Nicolas Cage. I really do. I've got a friend who once said, and I've said this before, that I could watch 2 hours of Nicolas Cage in a dark room saying nothing, because that's how much of a fan I am of the guy. He was good in this. So hats off to Nicolas Cage, hats off to his performance as Dracula. The film itself isn't particularly funny. It is violent, it has a lot of gore. The story, though, is mediocre to mind-numbingly boring. It's play by numbers. There's, like I said, the originality will only come from if you haven't seen something like this. That's my thoughts on it. As a departing note, what I will say is that I am looking forward to season 5 of this coming along very soon. I'll be on board for that, day 1. Every episode, when it hits, I will watch it. Renfield probably won't even make my collection of physical media. If it does get a release and I feel like getting it and revisiting it at some point, it'll probably be a pickup in a second-hand shop like CEX for something around the region of £3 or £4. That's all I can say. So, have you seen this film? Let me know. Give me your thoughts down below on it, whether you enjoy it or don't, whether it worked for you, whether it didn't work for you. I'd be interested to hear. Anyway, this is AJ. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you on the next one. Goodbye.